A very good evening. Welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk, a program where we highlight political issues around Nigeria and how we can actually move the country forward. My name is Ubong Usoro, and I'm saying welcome to the program. Tonight on the show, we will be staying with the Anambra State election, where we have a few of our colleagues there already as we take live updates from the field. That is what we'll be talking about on today's edition of the program. Live updates from the field about the Anambra State election that we'll be holding tomorrow, right, as Anambra heads towards choosing and electing a new governor of the Southeast states. Let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll get straight to show you some of the trending political discussions going on in Nigeria tonight before we head to Anambra State. Welcome back. This is Big Talk, a program where we highlight political issues around Nigeria. My name is Ubong Usoro. Tonight on the show, let's go check out some political trending discussions that we have been tracking for you in the country at this moment. We'll take the first story for tonight. Okay, so while we try to get those stories, we try to bring them, I just get to tell you some of the things that are actually happening now and in the political space and what it means for us as a country at this moment. We saw the PDP inaugurate a new board of trustees, a promise renewal and fairness. That board of trustees is from the faction that is loyal to the FCT minister, the faction of the PDP that is also loyal to the national secretary the national secretary called Sam Anyanwu. I think we have the stories now. Let's take the first story for tonight. PDP, this is a breaking news which we had coming today, where we saw the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, right, actually come out with this particular story. So the former senator representing Abia North Senatorial District, Ma Ohabuwa, as the fractional chairman of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, following the dissolution of the Adolphus Wabara-led board by a faction loyal to the party's new Action the party's new acting national chairman, talking about Alhaji Abdulrahman Mohammed. So we saw this earlier today. It was covered by my colleagues, where we had the PDP actually, bring out a new board of trustees chairman in the person of the former senator representing Abia North Senatorial District, Moa Ohabua, and I'm going to be bringing you that report done by my colleague later on the program. Another story we're taking tonight. Let's take another story tonight. It says tight security in Awka as Anambra prepares for election, and this is what we'll be talking about today tonight on the program. All right, so Awka metropolis and its environs are witnessing tight security and last-minute preparations ahead of the Anambra governorship election slated for tomorrow. That's November the 8th. Another story. This is actually a foreign story. Rob Jetten wins Dutch election, set to become youngest prime minister. The Dutch Electoral Council officially declared Rob Jetten the winner of last week's election. All right, setting the 38-year-old centrist on course to become the country's youngest ever prime minister. Let's take another story. Osun NNPP holds governorship primary election December the 13th. The Osun State chapter of the New Nigerian People's Party has announced December 13, 2025 for its primary election, where its candidates for the 2026 governorship election will be chosen. Another story tonight. All right, so this story says security of All right, so the other story we're taking says security operatives con off INEC Anambra office ahead of Saturday's poll. So the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Anambra has been barricaded by security agencies ahead of the governorship election slated for Saturday, November 2025. Right? This is what we see, and we have a lot of my colleagues there. But let's get back to the studio now. All right, so tonight we will be talking to one of our colleagues that will be looking at data for us as we look at the Anambra elections and some of the data that he's been able to put together by his organization as to how we can actually, move democracy forward and what it means for us in Nigeria at this time. So he is live for us in Anambra. So we are going to be talking to Dr. Ernest Archie, who is an analyst for the Center for Democracy and Development. Center for Democracy and Development. He's actually in Anambra at the moment, and we are reaching out to him to actually get to have this discussion with him as it relates to what is happening in Anambra, and we have live updates from the field, also looking at some of the reports that he's been able to put out. Good evening to you, Dr. Archie. Thank you for joining us on the program tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so let me start on a lighter note. How is Anambra tonight, and how are you?
I'm fine, and Anambra is nearly an election already.
Oh, so walk us through some of the feelings that you've gotten interacting with people in the state. What are they saying, and what are the people thinking about the elections?
Yeah, the people are looking forward to the election. though there are some people who are still being very pessimistic about whether their votes will count and or whether INEC will do the right thing. So these are the kind of things I can garner from the conversation I had with some people. And then there are also people who feel that the contest is not going to be keen as such, that the winner is already determined.
All right, so something very important that I've seen from one of the infographics put out by your organization is the mapping conflict areas across Anambra State, and you've been able to map out areas like Aguta, Anambra East, Anambra West, Anocha, Awka East, and different other areas as to the percentage of crises that are in those areas. You walk us through how you're able to put out something like this. We could see fatalities, we could see incidences like we have on the screen now, and we are seeing some places we have fatalities as up to more than 40. That's in Agota between November 2021 and 2024. And is this not something that could pose a threat to people? And this also connects to security. How are the people going to be so free to come out to vote, knowing that the lockdown situation in the southeast, and for some time now we've had a little bit of political security concerns as regards the southeast. I'd like that you walk us through how you came up with the data and what this data speaks to as concerning these elections.
Okay, the data is a mere projection based on historical antecedents in those areas, and also based on issues of insecurity flashpoints in some certain areas, just based on projections. And it is not meant to scare people. It is meant to make the security agencies to buckle up, up their game in those areas in order to avoid election violence.
All right. So away from just gathering this data, do you interface with religious organization, with traditional organization to look at how we can talk about strengthening our peace strategies in this situation?
Yes, we've been engaging with community organizations and other relevant organizations on how to avert violence during the election, and also, most importantly, the security agencies also. We've been doing that.
All right. So the case of where we've had insecurity in the southeast, and a lot of people have talked about it. What is your perception as to the security condition in Anambra State at this time, since you are in Anambra and you've been there for some days? What is the security condition currently in Anambra State?
Yeah, its security conditions have greatly improved. So it's only just on few flashpoints where where the so-called gunmen still have their camps, or areas like Ihara, Nnewi South. Apart from these areas, generally in Anambra State, security conditions have massively improved.
All right. So the next question I like to ask about the turnout trends, because last Saturday we were here when we talked about the local government election that happened in Niger State, and a lot of the people that spoke to us complained about the fact that it seems we are going into a time where we'll be having low turnout of voters, low turnout of people. So let's look at the turnout. From the data, I'm seeing that in 1999 we had about 50% turnout. That's okay. We had 46.36% turnout in In 2003, we had 47.22% turnout, that's of eligible voters, I guess. From 2003, we had 47.22% turnout. In 2007, this was quite amazing. We had 63% turnout. In 2010, we had just 16% turnout of people coming to vote. In 2013, we had 24% turnout. This is from data from the Center for Democracy and Development, right?
And development.
Yes. And in 2017, we had 22% turnout, and in 2021, very low, just 10.20% turnout of registered voters. So it seems that it's been decreasing from 2007 to 1999, 46% good, 2003, 47%, at least a bit good, 2007, wonderful, 63%. But since then, we've not gotten up to even 30% again. That's to voter turnout from 2007. We've not even gotten to 30%. Can you walk us through what do you think could be influencing this, and how does this, affect the elections in Anambra going forward?
Yeah, in 2021, which was approximately 10% voter turnout, and we are projecting that the trajectory may continue in 2027. If you consider that in 2023, there is this trust deficit, between the voters and the electoral institutions. In fact, there is what we call deepening erosion of confidence on the in the electoral process and the electoral institution. So, because of that, and other factors that may play out, we are projecting that the low turnout will continue in this 2025 election. And so the other reasons that is attributed to it, apart from the deepening erosion of confidence, is the issue of it's like this election. It is not it's not going to be keenly contested as the other elections in the past, because the intra-party crises are working the opposition so much that they are not able to mobilize voters effectively for the election.
All right, so in a country now, Doctor, in a country where you have a voter population of, let's say, 100% of that population, then you have just 10% voting. Can you say that's really an election? That is really the will of the people? Because I remember we used to talk a lot about democracy as in my government classes those days. We're told that democracy is one of the definitions is government for the people, by the people, right? So is it really for and by the people in a situation where we have just 10% of those who are registered to vote are coming out to vote? Grossly underrepresentation of the population.
It's a worrying situation. It's a worrying situation because if you are very close to the grassroots, people are becoming disenchanted with democracy already. So it's all point to the fact. It's all point to the fact that the past experience of people feeling that their votes don't count, that the elections are leaked, and plus issues of electoral violence, all those things have combined to increase voter apathy. It's a worrying situation because in actual sense, the winner cannot be actually technically said to have won the majority of the votes.
All right, so
and it's a great danger for our democracy.
Right. Like you've said, great danger for our democracy. Then you mentioned something that I'd like you to maybe just highlight a bit there. You talked about the fact that it seems this election is not as keenly contested as other elections. Is that because we have an incumbent governor, and maybe there's some, some form of tilting towards a particular position because of the power of incumbency?
Yeah, part of incumbency can be part of it, and also, there is some, level of information, some kind of information, though it cannot actually be proven that the state government is aligned instead with the federal government, in which makes the federal government not to give their candidates, the APC candidate, the kind of support he may require. That is one. Two, the other political parties which would have, given the governor the run for his money, like PDP and Labour Party, are made in internal crisis, so which makes it very difficult for them to mobilize, voters.
Okay, so yeah. So, what are the other things that your organization have been able to, from your research? What are the other things that you found out that you may want to share with us?
Yeah, not really much for now, because the election has not taken place. But the major issue we discovered, the issue of disinformation and misinformation, among the political parties, trying to undo themselves using misinformation and disinformation, and we're trying to tackle that by deploying what we call the grassroots monitors, otherwise known as soldiers of mouth, to track, monitor, and deflect such misinformation and disinformation.
All right, you may want to expand for some persons who may not understand. I'm watching the show tonight and they're wondering, what is Dr. Oniche talking about misinformation? How does it come? In what form? And what are some of the formats of misinformation that you've witnessed in the course of this noble work you do?
In some cases, there could be misinformation, like the people saying that one candidate has stepped down and endorsed a particular candidate, or that there is a sort of false alarm in certain areas in order to to manipulate the information to the advantage. That's what I mean.
All right, so let's still look at some of the data that it's from your organization as regards the 2021 governorship election that happened in that particular state, Anambra State. The data says that as of 2021, the total number of registered voters in Anambra was 2,466,638 registered voters. That's all close to 2.5 million. Then the accredited voters that came out in the 2021 election was only 253,388 out of 2.4 million, right? So we had just 253,388 persons, come out to be accredited for that election in 2021, the election that produced the current governor, Governor Charles Soludo, as governor of Anambra State. And also in that election, the vote casted was 249,631. So that was just 10.1% of the people that registered voters. Can you hear me, Doctor?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right, I'm with you. I'm just explaining some of the stats we have on the screen for our viewers tonight.
Yes, I know.
All right.
I know.
So non-voters, according to the statistics from the Center for Development and Center for Democracy and Development, non-voters was 2,213,250. That's 89.7% of registered voters in Anambra State did not come out to vote in 2021. And rejected vote was just about 3.2% of that, just about 8,108 votes were rejected, and the valid votes was 241,523 votes. That's about 96%, 96.8% of votes in that particular election was valid. So you actually did wonderful job. You went ahead to highlight this item head by item head. So accredited voters 253,388. Then non-voters we had 2,213,250. Then votes casted we had 2,490, 631. Credited but did not vote. Maybe something happened, just 3,751. Then valid votes 241,523. Then rejected votes about 8,108. Wonderful breakdown here. But this is for me, as somebody who's just looking at this data now, I feel people feel disenchanted. I feel people feel they shouldn't come out. I feel people it shows lack of interest and lack of participation in our electoral system. So I'll just have to ask a few questions now. Let's talk about the political parties, because for instance now in Nigeria we have 19 political parties. You talk about democracy and development, so I know you are well versed with the number of political parties we have and the work the political parties are doing. We keep having these political parties, and some of them cannot even boast of having up to 10 votes, sometimes let's even say 1,000 votes in a state election, or even 100 votes. But we keep having them. So is it a failure on the part of the political parties to adequately mobilize people? Or is it the failure on the part of the candidates to also adequately mobilize people to come out and support them?
Yeah, it's all about our electoral law. You see, it allows for INEC to register any number of political parties, but I think it was also amended in such a way that if a registered political party is not able to garner a certain percentage of votes over time, they will be deregistered. So most of these political parties just exist, as portfolio political party. They don't actually have offices on ground, functional offices on ground. So I think it's more of their inability to mobilize and also to get candidates that can help them to mobilize. We all know the story of Labour Party in 2023 election. So it's a combination of the two. The inability of the political party to mobilize, inability of them, their candidates also to mobilize. So because Labour Party is a case in point.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ernest. Please stay with us. We'll go for a break, and when we're back, we'll keep having your perspective. There are a lot of other questions. A few other questions we want to ask you before we allow you go. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll be right back with you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, so tonight on the program, we're looking at Anambra election as we get updates from the field. Speaking to us is Dr. Aniche, who is an analyst with the Center for Democracy and Development. It's live for us now in Anambra State as we take live updates from the field as we try to make sense of the discussions that we have as to what is happening in Anambra State and what this election actually means to us. Before we bring Dr. Anita back into the conversation, let's look at those who are contesting to wanting to become governors of Anambra at the moment.
It was an emergency meeting of the People's Democratic Party National Working Committee, a gathering that marked what members described as a turning point in the party's history. The acting national chairman, Abdurrahman Mohammed, said the new Board of Trustees symbolizes the rebirth of the party, reaffirming its founding principles of justice, fairness, inclusivity, and respect to the rule of law. Abdurrahman noted that the previous board had lost moral balance and credibility, which necessitated the restructuring to restore order and unity within the party.
Today marks another significant turning point in the life of our great party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP. We have come together not merely to inaugurate a new Board of Trustees, but to renew our faith in the ideals that give birth to this great political family. For justice, fairness, inclusivity, and respect for the rule of law.
The newly inaugurated Board of Trustees is chaired by Senator Mao Onahabunwa, with Isa Dansidi serving as secretary. Both leaders pledges to uphold unity, fairness, and discipline while working closely with the National Working Committee to strengthen internal democracy and restore public trust in the PDP.
And I believe that if we continue in this way, in keeping with our constitution, tenets abiding by our rules and regulations, our party will definitely be the party that it is known for.
With the theme beginning of new era, the new leadership assured members of its readiness to reform the party structure, promote accountability, and ensure respect for the rule of law. The PDP leadership expressed optimism that the renewed focus on fairness and inclusivity will help reposition the party as a credible alternative in Nigeria democratic space. Kabir Hassan reporting for Global TV News.
All right, welcome back. That video that showed was actually a video about the party restructuring we're having in the PDP, where we have the faction loyal to the new factional chairman of the party, Abdurrahman Mohammed, go ahead to also dissolve the Dolphus Wabara Board of Trustees as they also appoint former senator representing Abia North Senatorial District, talking about Mwam Ohamuwa as the Board of Trustees chairman of that particular political party. We'll be talking to a PDP chief then sometime very soon as we highlight the issues around the party, as we also get to hear from both sides and balance the discussion. But tonight, our conversation is about Anambra State, and let's look at some of the people that are contesting to wanting to become the governor of that particular state at this moment. All right, so I'll just go ahead and give you the data and make you understand some of what is happening as to who is wanting to be what in Anambra State at this particular time. And as we just look at some of them, so you get to understand as to what is happening in that particular state. Of course, we have Professor Charles Soludo. Professor Charles Soludo is the current governor of Anambra State. All right, he is also contesting to wanting to be governor for the second time and do a second constitutionally allowed 4 years in office. So we have Professor Charles Soludo there, which you see we are representing APGA, right? APGA, Professor Charles Soludo is representing APGA as a flag bearer in this particular election. Then also the next person that we have Ezewafor Jude of the PDP, right? Ezewafor Jude is the candidate contesting on the platform of the PDP. Then for the APC, we have Okachukwu Nicholas, who is contesting on the platform of the APC. Then we have the NMPP, we have Godfrey Onyejebu from the NMPP. The Labour Party, we have Mogalu Naduben, that's for Labour Party. Then SDP, we have Chukwuwa Vincent. Then we have Unyezi Chidi Charles. We have Nwaze Eze Chukwu. Then we have for AAC, that's African Action Congress, we have Ifeme Ludike Chioma Grace. For ADC, we have Nwosu Chuma John. We have here Oti Ezezuna in one of the parties. We have for Action People's Party AAP, we have Nweke Chuwu Dubem, right? Then for the Boots Party, we have Okeke Jerry for the Boots Party. Then NRM, National Restoration Movement, we have Ndidi Christie Olie. Then we have Paul Chuma for Zenith Labour Party. Zenith Labour Party, we have Martin Nwoju. Then for Young People's Party, we have Paul Chuwuma. So those are the people who are contesting at this particular time to wanting to be governor of that particular state. Let's see if we can bring back Dr. Archie on the line as we try to round up the conversation for tonight about what is happening and what we'll be expecting tomorrow. We really do appreciate his time. He is an analyst with the Center for Democracy and Development as he's joining us tonight. Hello, Doctor, as we round up the conversation, thank you so much for staying on the line with us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the security presence, because sometimes some people complain that elections seem to be militarized or maybe filled with political, security operatives. Do we have a dense security situation where we have a lot of security operatives? Some people have even compared elections to being held in a war zone.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Doctor?
I can hear you, yeah.
Right, so I'm talking about the presence of very many security personnel. Wouldn't it affect the people coming out?
Well, in a normal democracy, there shouldn't be, so much security men around. But the situation with Nigeria and the issue of insecurity in the country as a whole. What if I think the security should do is to focus. They shouldn't be in the police stations. They should be in the highways to ensure that the security is maintained. But the problem we have in Nigeria, even sometimes security agents from the past experience are even involved in the electoral malpractice and all, backing one candidate against the other. That is level of bias, from what we've observed in the past. Involvement of security agencies has not actually, improved electoral process in Nigeria. But then it's also very difficult to wish them away, given the nature of our environment.
Right.
In terms of security.
All right. So, Doctor, you've been involved in elections for quite a number of years now. What can you say? Are you saying we are improving? Have we made some very serious and good improvements over the time in your assessment?
I don't think we have made, from my own point of view, I don't think we have made more significant improvements. But it's still a work in progress. We need more reforms, like the reforms that will mandate INEC to upload ward results to IREF, and not putting unit results to IREF, and not leaving it, under their wounds and caprices like what happened in 2023 election. We need a electoral reform that can make it mandatory that all the polling units officers should upload results directly to IREF. We should be talking at this stage e-collation, not relying totally on manual collation. This is 21st century. Yes, I know there may be issue with technology, but that can also be improved upon.
All right. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking out of your time, out of your busy schedule to join us tonight on the program. We really do appreciate all the work that you do, Dr. Ernest Aniche. Thank you so much, and we wish you all of the best as you go ahead to, cover the elections, and hopefully a good election tomorrow, better outcome. More people will come out, and the will of the people of Anambra State will be represented through the ballots. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll be speaking to Dr. Ernest Aniche. He is from the Center for Democracy and Development, as we took a look at the Anambra elections and what it actually means for us as a people and as a country at this particular time. Let's look at some data that we have from the field as we try to wrap on the show. This is data done by Dr. Ernest's organization, the Center for Democracy and Development, the pattern for disinformation, because earlier on the show, he talked about disinformation. Let's see some of the data that they pull out for the pattern for disinformation. All right, so what we see targeting security institutions. There's a pattern about security institutions being targeted through negative narrative that is attacking their neutrality. There's also language distortion. People are misquoting and misleading translation of what some of the aspirants, our candidates at this time, said. There's religious polarization, some kind of divide between the Anglican and the Catholic. There's an endorsement manipulation, fabricated, distorted political backing, where a candidate has not stepped down. They'll put out something and say, this candidate has stepped down. There's INEC delegitimization, right? Where people are casting doubt about the competence of INEC and the readiness of INEC to actually put out this election and do it well. There's a weaponized insecurity, unknown gunmen narrative being exploited. Of course, some persons are talking about the fact that there's unknown gunmen in Anambra at this time and may not be, right for elections. And also, this organization has also pointed out that there's gender disinformation, where some persons are discouraging women from participating in the election. That data is one of the data that has been arranged by Center for Democracy and Development. Let's look at how Anambra voted for the presidency in 2025. There's also a data that may want to be highlighted, right? So in 2023, Peter Obi had 95.2% vote. That was about 584,621 votes, right? 584,621 votes came out. That's from the almost 2.5 million registered voters. And Atiku Abubakar had just 1.5% of the vote. So Peter Obi had 95% of the total votes casted for the presidential election in Anambra State. And in 2019, Atiku Abubakar had 86%. That was 524,738 votes in Anambra, while our former President Muhammadu Buhari had just 5.5% of the total votes casted in Anambra. That was 33,298, votes that was casted. All right. So they also even went ahead to talk about where the voters are. There's an infographic stating where the voters are, and some of the places that have heavy voter population. So you see places like Awka North has 85,000 registered voters with 150 polling units. Awka South has 216,000 registered voters. Anocha 124,000. Dunu Kofia 83,000. Idimili North 246,000. Idimili South 125,000. Njikoka 119,000. Anambra East 110. Anambra West 71,000. Ayemelu 96,000. Onitsha North 183,000. All right. Some of the data, okay, that they've made. Then from number 12 we have Onitsha South 168,000. Obaru 188,000, Oyi 120,000, Agwota 155,000, Ekwosiko 91,000, Iyala 156,000, Nnewi North 166,000, Nnewi South 102,000, Orumba North 102,000, Orumba South 84,000 registered voters. So about 2.8 million registered voters in Anambra State as of this time. So lastly, before we leave the show tonight, let's look at the past governorship result in that particular state. In 2021, Charles Soludo scored 46% of the total votes casted. He had 112,229 votes to actually emerge as the winner of that election. We had Andy Oba had 53,000 votes, while Valentine Ozibo of the APC had 43 votes. All right, and in 2017, Willie Obiano had 55% votes, and Mwoyi Toini Okechukwu of the APC at that time had 23,000 votes, and Oseluka Henry Obaza of the PDP had 16,000 votes. So a lot of data to actually make sense of the discussion, but it's quite worrisome that at this time in our country we are still talking about 10% of voters coming out to vote, registered with an election. Very poor, and I think it's something we have to really sit down and look at and see what we can do to actually improve our electioneering process. And this is where we headed today. Remember, tomorrow we'll start with Anambra Decide on our broadcast, as we're going to be having our colleagues. Anyete Patrick is there. We have Dr. Aniche. We have a lot of people in Anambra State that will be, speaking to us as we cover the election live from Global Television. My name is Ubong Usoro, and I'm saying bye for now.